Welcome to the second episode of the On Purpose Leader podcast. My name is Charles Clemens, and I am so excited for our next discussion today. Our topic is community impact, how great leaders make a difference right where they live and work. And I have two friends with me here today, Jennifer and Steve Tolbert, who share their story, and we'll get to discover what makes them an On Purpose leader. Welcome back to the On Purpose Leader podcast. Glad you're here with us. Welcome, Jennifer, Steve. Looking forward to hearing about your story. So if you would, start us off. Tell us a little bit about your background, what you do. And Jennifer, if you want to start us off, I appreciate it.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having us. I am an educator, a lifelong educator. I started out as a teacher and eventually got into administration. And I've been at St. Mark's School as the head of school, going into my 11th year.
Okay, fantastic. And St. Mark's is located where?
St. Mark's is located in Altadena. It's a preschool through sixth grade Episcopal day school.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Steve?
Yes, well, a little bit about myself. I've had the benefit of two professional careers. One, I spent 20 years in the finance industry, corporate finance and private equity, and then transitioned into K-12 education as a CFO because I really felt the need to give back to a sector that really gave me so much. And now I spend my time as a consultant, and I spend my time working in my fraternity, doing a lot of community work, and also in the ministry within my church. And I volunteer on a board and also sit on another board, corporate board.
Fantastic. Wow. You both have a great deal that you have going on. And for those of you tuning in, these are two friends that I cherish and grateful for your journey. Start with you, Jennifer, your work at the school. Describe a little bit of your relations with the families, the community, and just how your interactions have been over this decade with St. Mark's.
So St. Mark's is known for its community. I knew about that before I became the head of school, and so it's marked by a very strong community, both within the St. Mark's family, but also within the Altadena community.
Wow.
We've been there since 1960, and just have a tremendous neighborhood and community that surrounds us.
Wow. Fantastic. And how about you, Steve? Share a little bit about, well, you're involved with a number of areas, boards and so forth, professionally. What are some of your thoughts as it relates to your community interactions through the different companies that you work with?
Sure.
It's kind of a broad question.
I think I'm very mission minded, and I'm very focused on things like social justice and social advocacy. But I'm also really focused on supporting our next generation of leaders and supporting Jennifer in her effort to lead and develop the school and the next generation of leaders that are coming from that. And, it just brings me great joy professionally to serve. A lot of the work I do is either within the educational space, whether it be consulting with charter schools or private schools, or some of the work I do in my church ministry, some of the work that I do. One of the boards I sit on is it's called Chrysalis, and they're a workforce development agency, and they focus on providing job readiness training and programs and for unhoused, potentially unhoused, and others that have been impacted maybe by the justice system, just people that are reentering the workforce.
Just hearing both of your journeys and your partnership together is really amazing. On education, seeing young people coming up. I think, was it Frederick Douglass that said it's better to build strong children than to repair weak men, So you have that, but then also your work and your community impact with Chrysalis, with those who are down and out. And of course, in California, across the country, the unhoused or potentially unhoused, that's a big community. And so a few more questions. This kind of gets a little closer to home. Sometimes when people see an administrator or leader, whether it be in education or finance, they may not be able to relate to you just from a human perspective. So what hobbies do y'all have? What things you enjoy personally? What things you do for self-care? I know Steve knows this. I love soul food,
Yeah.
barbecue. That's a part of my self-care routine.
Right, that's right.
I'll listen to some Muddy Waters, some blues, and then my father's people are from Georgia and down south. So, that's a part of my own routine and hobbies. But I give that as examples. What are the things that y'all do individually together? Because you're doing a lot of heavy lifting in your work of education and finance. What are the things that make y'all heart sing hobbies wise?
Mm.
You want to go
Uh,
first?
okay. Well, first and foremost, one of the things that we bond over is sports,
Okay.
and we have a sports family.
Okay.
Our children played sports. They were also into the arts.
And how many kids or children?
We have 6 children,
Okay. All right.
all college educated, all graduated from college.
Wonderful.
One is still in college. Actually, we have 2 in college now.
All right.
One is finishing up her work in a UCLA PhD program in marine biology.
All right.
And one of our sons, is working on his master's in education administration.
Mm.
But because we're a sports family, a lot of what we do revolves around that. That's great community time for
Yeah.
our family to get together. But Jennifer and I, we both enjoy the same sports: football, basketball,
Nice.
and we attend sporting events, a lot of sporting events together,
Nice.
and sometimes with our kids. And fortunately for us, 3 of our children are coaches,
Mm.
high school and college football and basketball coaches, so we get a chance to support them
Nice.
in their efforts to coach young men to be not only great athletes but also great men.
Mm. Wow.
And so that's one of the things we like hosting. Not only our family, but we host others throughout, actually Altadena, Pasadena, all over. My wife is her therapy is cooking, and she
Okay.
does it
All right.
masterfully. We got to
Hey.
get you over for a meal.
I'm looking forward to it. All right. Hey.
We also are, like I said, we're active in within our church,
Your church.
and we do. We like, when you talk about self-care,
Mm.
we do believe in that. We do take time out for ourselves to unwind. We'll do massages. We'll do manicures, pedicures.
Okay.
We travel,
Okay. Yeah.
go on vacation to
Yeah.
kind of.
I
In
saw.
fact, we just got back from vacation,
Yeah.
which a much needed vacation.
There you go.
For, what
Been
we've
a
been through.
rest. Yeah.
And we came back, fully restored.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So glad
Recharged and restored.
glad to hear. Jennifer, love to hear from you, and no pressure on the meals, but love to hear about what you cook too. So what are the things that you enjoy along with what Brother Steve has shared?
So I also like gardening.
Gardening.
So I enjoy that. And I would say, in addition to what Steve shared, we really restore by spending time with our family. We love our kids.
Yeah.
We love to have them over and
Yeah.
just hang out with them, play, cards, or,
Yeah.
listen to music, watch movies together, just, hang out. So
Wow.
yeah, so we enjoyed that as well.
Yeah.
And we also have a beautiful granddaughter who just turned 2.
Hey,
Yeah.
I saw that picture. Congrats.
We were able to visit with them in Chicago just recently for her 2nd birthday, and got a chance to see my mom and family, which I'm from
Mm.
Chicago. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And love to hear Team Tolbert, as I'm hearing things
That's
that
Yeah.
you do together, and you build together, you work together, and you play, recreate, and even leisure, hearing about the gardenings. And during COVID, many people began to take to some of
Mhm.
those things. And we're finding, and there's plenty of evidence and science behind it, that when we take time out to rejuvenate, we have more to give to others.
Amen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So that's exciting. Tell me a little bit more about and maybe we'll pivot in a little bit about the fire and so forth. But what are your thoughts on what makes for impact in a community? Because I'm hearing it. I'm hearing you take time for yourselves, you take time for your family, and then out of being full, you have something to give to others, and
Mm.
y'all are doing it regularly. Kind of at the top of what are y'all thoughts on what it takes to have community impact?
Mm.
many people kind of just circle in and focus on themselves, even sometimes self-centered leaders, but you all seem to be very much servant leaders. So what are y'all thoughts at the top of it? What makes for community impact?
Mm. Well, for me, I mean, I've chosen to spend my life professionally and personally investing in others,
Mm.
most notably teachers
Yeah.
and those aspiring to leadership, and of course, children.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest ways to have an impact
Mhm.
in the immediate moment,
Yeah.
but also long term,
Yeah.
is investing in children in schools
Wow.
because they are our future.
Yeah.
And so that just always has given me a lot of hope and joy,
Mm.
a lot of satisfaction to see the impact, the
Yeah.
seeds that you plant in the lives of young people and
Wow.
what they do,
Mhm.
longer term. And, if we're lucky as teachers, kids will come back. And
Yeah.
that's one of the beautiful things about St. Mark's is that our alumni are very engaged in our school. And that's not always true for an elementary school
Mm.
because they go on to other institutions and get involved and invested in other places. But our kids come back. They
Mm.
work in our extended care program after school. They come back and work in our summer programs. They remain engaged long after they leave our school, I think, because of the deep relationships that we build with them.
Mm.
And it gives me such joy to hear what they've done with their lives.
Yeah.
And the mission of our school is very much about having impact in the world,
Yes.
being uh, change agents,
Yeah.
caring about others and having an impact. So I see the power of the foundation that we provide for them
Mm.
educationally, but even more importantly, as leaders in the world.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're seeing your alumni come back and to see really the fruits, as you say, of your labor in a transformed life. And you've shared a little bit. How does that make you feel to know that 10 years down the line, a young person is going to have a better life because of how you treated them? How does that make you feel? I mean, what are your further thoughts on that or feelings on
Yeah, I think most educators, if you speak with them, they join the ranks as an educator because they
that?
want to make a difference and have a sense of purpose
Mhm.
in teaching and educating young people. And so for me, I always feel that sense of purpose. It's gratifying to know that you're making a difference in the life of at least one kid.
Mm.
But I always feel like it's a ripple effect when
Wow.
you invest in one child and that person goes on to do great things.
Yeah.
Your impact is even greater. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it just gives me a lot of joy and just a renewed sense of purpose when I see that happening.
It's amazing. I so appreciate that. Just a thought, and I know I'll pivot to you in a moment, Steve. You know, when we started the On Purpose podcast, we talked about doing something on purpose
Hmm.
and play on words. So you're on purpose as an educator, as a leader, and you see the results of it. It is amazing. We got feedback from a listener. This wonderful young lady named Clarice, who's a martial artist. She went through a personal transformation, and Clarice, I'm shouting out to you. She teaches hundreds of young people, works with families and communities, and that impact makes our society better. And so, kudos to you, and thank you for sharing your perspective on community impact.
Thank you.
Steve, what do you think? What makes for community impact as a leader?
I think for for me, what makes for impact as a community leader, my greatest joy is giving.
Mm,
I believe that we're blessed to be a blessing,
that's right.
and God has blessed us hundredfold,
Yeah,
even before
yeah,
the fire. He just continues to bless us,
yeah.
and you can't keep all that to yourself, right?
That's right. That's right.
So for me, I enjoy mentoring,
Oh,
tutoring, teaching, training
mm,
young leaders. I've done it my entire professional career
yeah.
and my personal career. I think uh, just working with, whether it be coaching,
Mm,
whether it be uh, mentoring, or just making myself available to,
yeah.
being present and
Mm,
being available. I think from an impact perspective, I look at our children,
mm.
and
Wow.
each of them are doing what they wanted to do, and what they're doing is serving. Uh, they're serving their community, like whether they're coaching. I have a daughter who's a mental health professional. We have a daughter who is working in development for a nonprofit. Uh, talked about my daughter who's working on her PhD.
Yeah.
That's an exponential impact,
Yeah.
right?
Huge.
And so
Huge.
we
Yeah.
were able to impact their lives in such a way that they want to impact other lives. So that's exponential
Yeah.
community impact. And then to see some of the people, as Jennifer mentioned, to see some of the people that I've had the opportunity or the privilege to mentor or to support in their journey come back is just it makes my heart full, and it makes me want to do more. It
Yeah.
lets me know that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
And I think, if there's an opportunity to pour into someone else's lives in such a way that they want to pour in other people's lives,
Yeah.
that's impact.
Yeah.
I like, I talked about some of the work I do, the volunteer work I do on the board of Chrysalis. Yeah, I'm on the board, and that's a governing body and so forth, and there's policies and things like that. But I benefited from having workforce training as a child, as a teen. My mom put me in programs, and so it sometimes they're looking for volunteers to help onboard new clients, as we call them, clients.
Good.
And so just to spend time helping them put together their resume, help them write their bio, that
Yeah.
to me means more than sitting on the board. I'm actually trying to lend a hand to those persons that are trying to reestablish themselves.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And I'm hearing, as you mentioned, exponential impact. And for that client that would come in who doesn't know how to do a resume, who doesn't know how to show up for the interview, who's trying the best they can to have a better life. And you, as you said, and I fully agree, you've been blessed to be a blessing.
That's right.
And you know that, wow, look at where I am, but I can help somebody else. And you've heard the saying, it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Amen.
And you can really experience like, wow, there's a sense of gladness that I just don't hold it, and I pass it on.
Yep.
I shared in a previous podcast episode, you have a river and a pond. Pond just collects, collects. And as a camp counselor years ago, working in New Jersey, and shout out to Eau Claire, St. Clair's camp, there was ponds, and we fish, and in my wilder days, even swim in it. But can I tell you, there were snakes in it, frogs in it, all kinds of stuff in it. And I use that as an example that when people just collect and get, then something happens to the character of a person. And we live in a society that is very me-centered. It's the whiffum thing. What's in it for me?
That's right.
And that life is not happy. I could think of many people that they never have enough. But on the other hand, what I'm hearing from both you, Jennifer, and Steve, is that as you've been receiving things along the way, you've been willing to share to help others. And you find joy in it, in with each other, with your children, with the community, and we'll use even the fire. What does it look like for an on-purpose leader who sets on fire good deeds, good actions, uplift of community? That's a different kind of fire versus the one that destroys. And I know we'll talk about that in a little bit. So excited to hear your perspective on a community, what takes to have community impact. So let's kind of pivot a little bit. What was it like the day that you got word that the fire was happening, or fires? What were some of your early memories of it? What was it like to know that those fires that were happening in multiple locations, those of you who are tuning in from other places, there were multiple fires in California. What was it like to know that it was getting close to where you lived, where you worked? Feel free to share about that.
So our school was closed on that day, and so I was working on our campus to pick up all the debris because of the high winds on that day. And and I was hoping that school would be open the
Yeah.
following day. So that's
Mm.
what I was working on throughout the day. The electricity was out. And so as it started to get dark, I headed back to our house um, to have dinner by candlelight. A family had dropped off some food for us, and
Mm.
so we were preparing to have dinner. And I remember getting a text from a friend saying, "Are you aware that there are fires in the area?" And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't fully aware of that. We certainly knew it was windy."
Mm.
Um, and then we got an official alert on our cell phones letting us know that there were fast moving wildfires in the area and to
Mm.
just, stand by.
Mm.
And it wasn't unusual for us to see an alert like that. Just living in Southern California,
Mhm.
we're all familiar with high winds and also, with fires. In our experience, generally you get several alerts
Mm.
before you're ever asked to evacuate. But in our case, after that first alert, the next text was to evacuate.
Wow.
And that really, kind of was startling
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah.
I remember going upstairs in our two-story home and looking out the window and seeing that the fires were right there.
Wow.
And that's how fast moving it was because of the wind. So it was scary. Things were, very chaotic in the
Mm.
neighborhood. We heard lots of sirens, lots of people
Mhm.
mobilizing to evacuate. So we knew at that time that it was serious and
Yeah.
that we needed to, take steps to evacuate quickly.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Just imagining that moment, and for those that are watching, listening in, we have a picture of Steve and Jennifer standing beside the school, but also a picture of the fire itself, the last moment that you got to see your home. And so I don't know, Steve, if you want to pick it up from there, or even share what it was like to get that final evacuation notice. You got to go right now. Take us to that
Sure.
moment.
Sure. Well, I want to take a
Okay,
step back and just kind of
feel free.
because I want to provide some more context to what Jennifer
Mm.
had said about that day. I We knew that there were high winds that morning, and uh, because the weather service had told us that was going to happen, and it's not unusual.
Mm.
Uh, this particular morning, I was awakened. I don't know what time it was, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, to my wife shaking me, saying, "Babe, the winds are really blowing hard." And looked out on the patio, and
Mm.
one of the we had a couple of big planterns, and one of them had been blown over,
Mm.
and so furniture kind of gets rearranged
Mm.
sometimes when there's high winds. So we've experienced that before,
Mm.
and so that was how they started, and the power was out, as
Mm.
Jennifer mentioned. And then, just to fast forward through the day, the power did come back on,
Mm.
and but the winds were still raging. And when I say the winds, we're talking
Yeah.
70, 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
And and then we started hearing sirens. We kept hearing a lot of sirens. And
Mm.
we're like, okay, there's fire. It's probably a fire, but not
Mm.
a fire.
Mm.
Maybe they're
Mhm.
fire trucks, but maybe they're going to put out a fire somewhere.
Wow.
And I was upstairs, and the lights had gone back out. And I was upstairs. I have a home office, and so
Mm.
I was upstairs on a Zoom call. And as it got darker, I finally had to tell the person on the side. I said, "Listen, I can see you, but I can't see anything around me.
Wow.
And so we're gonna have to end this call."
Mm.
And Jennifer had already come home and had started preparing
Wow.
dinner. And came downstairs, got the text. I mean, she got the text from her friend, and we looked at each other. And the first thing I said, "Let's just say a prayer first. Let's just pray."
Mm.
And as soon as we said Amen,
Yeah.
because we asked for wisdom and discernment,
Yeah.
and as soon as we said Amen, the official emergency alert came on saying
Yeah.
fire had started in your area. And to put that in perspective, we live less than 3 miles from where the fire started.
Wow.
And the fire started less than 3 miles east of us. The winds were blowing 70, 80 miles an hour west.
Wow.
And so we said amen, we got
Yeah.
the alert, and we kind of went into action. And we had prepared before, because where we lived previously, it was also a fire zone, and so we had
Yeah.
different items that we, boxes of things that we wanted to take with us and so forth. So we started activating, if you will. And I always like to use the term 37 minutes, because 37 minutes after we got the first text to be aware, be alert for future messages, the next message we got was um, evacuate
Wow.
immediately.
Time to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. Ooh.
again, what do you do in 37 minutes?
Yeah.
What do you do? And so, again, we started gathering, gathering what we could to, to exit. Our cars were parked in our driveway, and it's an electric gate, and the
Wow.
power was out. So we had never,
Wow. So you had to manually.
and I didn't know how
Yeah.
to do it. I
Wow.
just went outside, but I said,
Yeah.
we gotta get in our cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was able to, fiddle around with it, and finally got the gate open manually. We pulled our cars around, and again, we just began to load up what we could
Wow.
during that time. So we got some of our some clothes. We got a few boxes of some things, and just started putting things in the car.
Wow.
Our cat.
Our cat.
And your cat?
Yeah.
Okay. Can't leave cat.
Yeah,
You have,
can't leave the cat.
you have a dog or no?
No,
No,
Okay.
just the cat.
Okay.
The cat actually got out of the bag, though.
Ooh.
Really, out of the
The carrier. You had to run them down and catch them or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was hiding. It was, like I mentioned, it was very chaotic. And, animals experience that too.
Yeah.
And she was terrified, just kind of hiding in a corner.
Yeah, because the siren, you got sirens blaring,
Yeah.
and we kept seeing cars going east. Well, the fire was east, and I kept saying, well, why are these cars driving eastbound, and why are they moving so fast driving eastbound? What we realized was it was in the evening, and people were coming home from work, and they were trying to get home. They're trying to get home
to get to their things.
to get to their things.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so it was quite chaotic. I think that's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. But I will tell you that personally, I felt a peace. I
Yeah.
felt a peace because I knew that we had offered up our prayers. We know that God answers prayer,
That's right.
and
Amen.
while we're trying to go, we're moving,
Yeah.
with some expediency.
Yes.
There was still just this
Yeah.
peace over me,
Yeah.
and I it's undescribable.
Yeah.
But we were able to get our things together what
Yeah.
little we could. I think the last couple of things we got were the last couple of things we got was my dad's urn,
Okay.
and we got a box of pictures,
Wow. Okay.
and along with, like I said, some of our important documents. We didn't get all of our important documents, but yeah.
Wow.
And even at that moment, we never anticipated, and I think, as I talk
Right.
with many others who evacuated as we did, none of us believed that we would not be returning to our houses,
Wow.
And so,
Yeah.
if I could do it all over again, and if I knew that the house
Yeah.
was going to go down, I would have grabbed so many more things, but there's nothing you can do about that now, and just be blessed that we got out with our lives. There were 19 people who did not. When I think back on the
Yes.
alerts,
Yeah.
it was a blessing to even get an alert, because
Yes.
there were 19 people who perished in
Yeah.
the fire who did not get that alert,
Too much later, yeah.
Yeah, and that was not far, that's a block north and
right.
a little bit west of where we lived, so that could have been us. So
Could have been.
when you think about lives lost, and that impact, you can't help but just feel blessed to have made it out with our
Yeah.
lives, and
Yeah.
with whatever items we had.
Correct.
My goodness. Hearing from you that moment, the chaos, but I'm also hearing the perspective that y'all have of gratitude, and certainly rest in peace to those 19. That's a sobering thing. I appreciate you sharing that and bringing us in that moment. And for those who are listening and watching, here you have the chaos of the moment, but I'm hearing timing that you had some choices to make. You get your first announcement, you get your second announcement, and Team Tolbert, y'all pulled together, and love that you shared, Steve, that y'all prayed.
Mm.
And I recognize those who are tuning in. There's some of faith who are watching this podcast, some that are not of faith. I would like to say, here's some great examples of genuine faith.
Mm.
Y'all are Christians. I know that. Full disclosure, I am too. This podcast is not just for Christians,
Sure.
but it's for leaders who want to be on purpose.
Correct.
The other part is that leaders have struggles too. You started off, you lead in education, you're developing teachers, administrators on your campus at St. Mark's, and certainly your community impact with families and many others. And you, my brother, in areas of finance and boards in which you sit on, and also the great fraternity of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, which we're part of it, indeed. So, but yet face struggles, right? And in that moment, y'all made some decisions to pick up what you could, operated in a degree of peace and teamwork. Um, Here's a question. Given that short amount of time, many would have froze. Many would have said, I can't leave without my grandma's quilt or my Uncle Joe's baseball cap or there's hoarding in society,
Mhm.
which is a real phenomenon where people just can't let go of
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
Life or holding on.
Mhm.
In fact, people can hold on to a lot of things, not just physical things, but grudges and all kinds of things, and get stuck, literally get stuck, going back to that pond. But now you're in this moment. Timing means everything. What would you say to a person who maybe they're facing a literal danger? Maybe they may face, God forbid, but it could happen, a fire too. And they're in that moment and they have to decide between trying to keep all these precious items. And like you said, Jennifer, knowing what you know now, you may have picked certain different things, but to both of your credit, you were able to get what you needed and or thought was best in that moment, and you kept it moving. But what would you say to that person who is stuck? Maybe can't decide or can't let go, because you're here today to tell a story. What would you say to that person who may face that challenge?
Well, I would say as leaders, we are faced with crises and difficult moments, moments of pressure,
Mhm.
moments where things aren't always clear. And I think part of our charge as leaders is to be able to, in those moments, going back to what you were saying, walk by faith and not by sight,
Yeah.
to
Oh,
have
yeah.
faith that,
Yeah.
you have everything you need to make
Yeah.
the right decision in that moment,
Yeah.
and to make that decision,
Yeah.
with as much clarity, with all the information you have, make the best decision that you can,
Mm.
and to zero in on what really matters,
Wow.
and in that moment, what mattered most to us,
Yes.
was our
Your
lives.
lives. Yeah.
I can remember with regard to the school, which is right across the street from our home,
Yeah.
that also went down.
Wow.
I remember calling my board chair
Yeah.
because I was a little paralyzed for a moment,
Wow.
because my instinct was to go into the school and grab,
Yeah.
important things. And he said he said to me very clearly, we can replace all of those things. We cannot replace our head of school.
Yes.
You need to evacuate immediately. And I
Yes.
don't want you going in there, to try
Yes.
to grab anything, but I needed to hear that
Yeah.
from someone else,
That's
So
right.
sometimes we need to be strong for each other
Mhm.
when we get stuck in those
That's
moments.
right.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. That's powerful. There's a lot to unpack there. What are your thoughts, Steve?
What to say to people that
Are stuck
are stuck?
in that crisis. They have to make a decision and maybe frozen.
Well, I would say that you have to think about what's ahead of you
Mm.
versus what's behind you.
Mm.
And you can't move forward if you're looking backwards.
Wow.
And, God has a plan for us all.
Mm.
And so, if as unfortunate as that situation was for us, or as unfortunate as the situation may be for someone else, they have to keep in mind that um, that God has a plan for us all, and you have to move. You have to move forward.
Mm,
You know, as a leader, you know, professionally, sometimes you're faced with, you know, you're faced with different crises.
mm,
You know, as a finance officer, I've had to deal with,
mm,
you know, things aren't always at a steady state,
mm.
and so you have to deal with things that are outside and beyond your control. And if I spend more time thinking about the problem, I won't be able to come up with a solution.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
so you have to keep your focus on what's really important,
Mm,
and what, you know, what your charge is. And you know, yes, Jennifer wanted to go
yeah.
across the street, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, you're not doing
Yeah.
that.
That's good. I'm sure
He
you.
also, he also shut it down.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, no.
You know,
Team Tolbert.
we have to move forward. And
Yeah.
you know, again, we thought we were,
Mm,
you know, we thought we were going to be able to come back. You know, we thought, you know, we just prayed that God would protect our home. And
mm.
but again, if you think about the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego,
Yeah. For the
right?
fire.
The fire,
Yeah.
and they said, "We will not bow down to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and you can throw us into the fire."
Yeah.
I'm just paraphrasing.
Sure. That's right.
And if you throw us into the fire, our God will save us.
That's right.
And even if He doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
we're still not going to bow down.
That's right.
And
They were
so,
faithful.
and God brought them out through
Yeah.
the fire,
That's right.
right? And so we believed that, in spite of everything that was going on, that we were, you know, we got out with our lives,
Yeah.
which meant that there was still more purpose for
Yeah.
us to do.
Yes. Yes. That's powerful. Y'all literally have been through the fire, and I'm glad to hear of how you see it, you recognize it, and when you reflect on it, you see these life lessons. I'm so glad to hear about your colleague Jennifer that really was adamant, as of course, along with Steve. You know, don't go back. We can lose all these things, but we can't lose the head of our
That's right.
school, and yet another member of Team Tolbert. And I love what you shared, Steve. That if we're focused on the past, we won't be able to go forward,
Can't move forward.
and that's a sense of vision. You know, the purpose continues. What is on the other side,
That's right.
or on the aftermath of the
That's right.
fire? And maybe this is a good place to pivot. I've heard stories about certain buildings that were preserved, and of course, your children, your adult children, coming and help set up relief.
Mm.
The community rallied, and for those who are not familiar with the Pasadena area, Eaton area, historically Black community, all the communities were affected, but there's stories there. So share a little bit on the aftermath, where things are now, and just how things are going. So after the fires, I don't know, whichever one of you would like to share a little bit about that. That'd be great.
Immediately after, well, after we evacuated, we were blessed because we had a place to go. Uh, we had a rental property, and amazingly, the tenants had just moved out.
Wow.
And so we didn't have to scramble around looking for hotels or anything like that. We had a place to go that was familiar to us
Mm,
because we had once lived there. And our children showed up the next day
mm,
with laptops,
yeah.
with laptops and coffee.
Yeah.
And they became our colleagues
Mm,
and our coworkers to really help us level set.
mm,
When we realized that that, obviously, we went through tears when we realized that, you know, we got the news that our house had burned down and everything around it had burned down. Of course, there were a lot of tears, but we decided to stand in faith. We
mm.
stood on Isaiah 61,
Right.
and we believe that God will give us beauty for our ashes and anointment
Yeah.
for our mourning,
Yes.
and that He will give us double for our trouble,
Yeah.
along with everything else in the chapter. And again, our children came through. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Mm, yeah.
I'm trying not to get emotional here, but it's a beautiful thing to see
That's right. That's all right,
your
brother.
children who you've raised to be responsible
Mm,
adults,
yeah.
and they go out in the world, they graduate from college and get their jobs, and they do they're doing their thing, and they're successful because
Yeah.
they're getting promoted, getting more jobs and things like that. But then to have them walk in
Mm,
and say, okay, you guys focus on
yeah.
getting yourselves together. we're going to help set everything up. And to watch them, put together Google Docs and spreadsheets and all the way, and asking us questions. And I think the thing that really sticks out most to me is like the level of detail.
Yeah.
Like they asked us a question. They said, "Okay, what subscriptions do you need to cancel? We need to put in a change of address." I mean, they would think about all these things
Yeah, that's right.
that we couldn't think about.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you raised them.
Yeah,
You both.
amazing. Having nightly meetings,
Wow.
holding us accountable
Huh.
to certain things. I mean,
Right.
it was, taking phone calls,
Mhm.
because people were pouring into us
Yeah. Yeah.
and arranging for meals and setting up
Wow.
separate
Yeah.
email accounts.
Yeah.
And
The
just,
Tolbert Command Center
The
is what
Tolbert
they call
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah.
and
It was.
yeah,
It
yeah,
really was.
yeah. And so, the aftermath of the fire, you know, first having our children there, standing in faith, having our children there, and then, um, Jennifer, of course, she had to focus on the school because
That's
the
right.
school's in Altadena and the fire's in Altadena and their families in Altadena who lost their homes.
Lost their homes. Yeah.
Okay, and she also had a community that needed to be healed, and so she needed to focus on that. And our children allowed us to be able to do that, allowed her to do that, and then on the personal side, they were also focusing on helping us get back on track, setting up appointments for FEMA.
That's right.
For me to go to FEMA. Just amazing things. And then obviously,
That's right.
shout out to Omicron Mu chapter of
That's
Omega
right.
Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated in the 12th district
Yeah.
of Omega Psi Phi and Omega Psi Phi in general. We got calls from all over.
Yeah.
And we got calls from, I went to Morehouse.
Okay.
That network is really strong, and they
Yeah.
came through.
Yes.
I have childhood friends I've known for 50, 60 years. They were coming through, families, our church. I mean, everybody was just coming through to
Yes.
lift us up.
Yes. Yeah.
And my cousin said something to me that I didn't appreciate it in the moment, but she said, God is he needs you two to get back on
Yeah.
the field.
That's right.
And so he's sending people to help
To
you
help you. Yeah.
uplift yourself so that you can go back
And
and
uplift
help
others.
others. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because at first I think we had a hard time
Yeah.
receiving
Yeah.
that outpouring.
Yeah.
It was
So you can get back.
overwhelming because we were so used to, being a lifeline and giving to
Giving others.
others that, we really had to have some help. Our kids really helped us and others,
Yes.
to say, we want to do this for you.
Yes.
We want to help you stand so that you can stand on your own,
Amen.
It's amazing. That,
So we were overwhelmed. We still are overwhelmed, by that. We get very emotional when we think about what our kids did for us, first and foremost, but also the tremendous network,
yes.
that goes back, to many different phases of our
Yes.
lives and our careers,
Yes.
our hometowns. I'm from a small town
Yeah.
in New Hampshire,
Okay.
so they were having
Feast.
spaghetti dinners and,
Nice.
praying for us, so I mean, it just the impact, going back to what you were saying earlier, of our wider community and network standing with us and for us is just an incredible part of our story.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Because we know that that God will, we believe in sowing and reaping. And
Sure.
so,
Reaping the song. Yeah.
but we had no idea the impact that we had
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
So it was just an amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, even so we talked about some of the mentoring and things like that.
Yeah.
I had mentees contact me, or people that I may have helped get jobs, people I hired,
Sure.
people I promoted. I mean, all of that started coming back to us, but it wasn't for us to keep to ourselves. It wasn't the pond, right? We
Sure.
weren't collecting it.
The river to pass it on.
We were passing it on. We said,
Yeah.
okay, now we've got some work to do. Now we've got to, she had to get back out in the community, and I had to support her
Yes.
in that effort.
Yeah.
At the same time, I felt like there was an opportunity um, to show how God stands with you in the midst of a storm,
Yeah.
and how and to let our light, light
Mhm.
was out momentarily, but
Mhm.
God lit it
Yeah.
back up immediately,
That's right.
and and we were able to just tell a story, a message of hope.
That's right.
Tell people that it's not the end.
It's not the end.
It's not the end because we're still here,
Yeah, that's right.
and the Lord still has work for us to do. So
There you
so
go.
it gave us both an opportunity to tell a story, and people would say, "Wow, it's amazing that I just it's amazing to see how you guys are just standing through all this.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to do that." And it's not us,
Mhm.
it's the Holy Spirit that's leading us and guiding us.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
I know this is not a
Sure.
this is not
Hey,
a
we break into a church service. Yeah.
You can preach a few words. Yeah.
Understood.
why,
And
why don't you share what because you just I'm sorry.
it's all right. I just want to comment this. I'm so grateful for this conversation and just highlight some of what you mentioned. And I'll even go back to that pond versus river illustration. I didn't say this, but the river is flowing,
It's flowing, that's right.
and so it's receiving but passing it on. You both have lives and living lives that are not just receiving but passing on to others. And Jennifer, you said it was kind of hard to be on the receiving end, and one of the beautiful things that I'm hearing from you both on the other side of the fire is so many people were impacted and feel good about giving to you too. I think Steve, you said it was a cousin or a friend that said, God wants to get you back out there,
Yep.
and it really does feel good to give to others. That may sound basic and schwarmy, but leaders who are other oriented, servant oriented, you feel fulfilled. Those kids that come back, those mentees that you work with, people you may have forgot about. It's like, wait a minute, Tolberts, let's see how we can help. And it's hard to describe other than just this wonderful feeling. And there's spiritual terms we can use. I want to circle back to what you mentioned about your children, your adult children, setting up a command center to help out with your subscriptions, help out with interacting with agencies and things like that. And then also being free to support St. Mark's, the community. And those of you tuning in, there's going to be a link in our information. If you want to give to stmarks.org.
St. Mark's dash
Okay.
.org.
Thank you so much. St. Mark's dash.
Saint-marks.org.
Say that again one more time.
Saint, SAINT, dash Marks, MARKS.org.
Fantastic. Please give to that, knowing that your donation is going to have a deep impact on the lives of those in the community. So I'm just thrilled to hear on the other side of the fire. There's a lot we could circle back to, not holding on to the past, going forward. On the other side of the fire, you're still thriving, still community leaders, still Team Tolbert together. Um, at this time, kind of pivoting to some final thoughts. And this has been a great conversation. What are your thoughts about the days ahead for Team Tolbert, for what you do as a community leader, what you do as a family? What are y'all final thoughts? And I don't know, Jennifer, if you want to start us off, and then Steve, and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
I'm reminded, as we all are on a daily basis, that if we look at the news, if we look at what's happening around us, we can get stuck, in
That's right.
the um, heaviness of the world and the difficult things, that we face on a daily basis. And so I think the fire is reminding me that we are called, I think, in a moment like this as leaders to be um, beacons of hope,
Yes.
to identify the inspiration in um, the things that are happening around us, to identify the angels and the heroes and the
Yeah.
miracles that are unfolding. And
Yeah.
in our story personally, and for my school, there are many heroes and angels and amazing things that are happening
Yeah.
in the midst of what has been, surely a devastating event.
Yeah.
And so I just try to remind myself of that every day. How can I give hope to someone else?
Yeah.
I'm also aware as an educator and as
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
that we are meaning makers for children,
Yes.
and so what is it that we want them to remember and to learn from this time?
Yeah.
I think they are learning, our kids at St. Mark's and others who have been impacted are learning some of the greatest life lessons that we could
Mm.
ever give them.
Yes.
And we oftentimes talk about resilience,
Yes.
that we need resilience in life because hard times are going to come. We
That's
don't
right.
know what it's going to be,
That's right.
but all of us will face difficult moments,
Yeah.
and we don't know exactly how our lives will unfold.
That's right.
But so we can't control that part
Yeah.
of it. But what we can do is, um, learn the lesson that when we face those hard times, we show up for each
For
other.
each other.
We show up, in faith and in hope,
Yeah.
that we will get through that moment and
Yeah.
we'll come out stronger on the other side. And so we're 7 months, almost 7 months from losing our campus, losing our home, and it's been an incredible and inspiring story
Yeah.
thus far.
Yes.
And I know that it will continue to unfold. And I'm just honored and privileged to
Yeah.
be in a position to continue to have an impact and to continue to translate,
Yes.
the hopefulness that I think our world so desperately needs right now.
And wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. Steve.
Wow, I don't know how to follow that. I mean, yeah, I mean, the word resilience
Resilience.
is what we want to exhibit. That it's not over,
Hmm.
and we could. It's it's easy to get stuck.
Yeah.
It's not easy for me to get stuck, but I mean it's some people can get stuck,
Hmm.
and uh, there's there's just so much more to do. I mean, there's so many more. Um, there are going to be other events,
Hmm.
other obstacles, other challenges that will come up, and we have coming through this situation to remind us that if we got through this, if God brought us through this,
Hmm.
like there's nothing that He won't do,
Yeah.
and so you know I try to continue to let my light shine
Hmm.
because people, you know,
Yeah.
in different circles that I walk in and I haven't spoken to, still
Hmm.
want to. I still trying to process, and
Sure.
you see the blank stares on people's faces
Yeah.
when they learn that
Yeah.
we lost our home, Jennifer lost her school, and you and people saying there's no way I would have survived it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, you would have. Yes, you would have, because
That's
we're
right.
here right now
You li-
as
living
examples,
proof. Yeah.
right? And yes, you can move forward
Yeah.
because we are, we want to be those examples
Mm.
to say you can move forward, you can get unstuck, and you can move forward.
Wow.
Not that, I think on our trip, that we were finally able to
Yeah.
take, um, it gave us some time to process individually and collectively
Mm.
what we went through. And, there were some tearful moments for
Yeah.
her, and there's some tearful moments for me, but, how great is it that, we had a family that,
Yeah.
and shout out to Ed and Diane Seaton
All right.
in
Mhm.
Puerto Rico
Mhm.
who opened up their home to us. There are a lot, and shout out to everyone
Yes.
who opened up their home, because there
Yes.
were people
Yes.
that were saying, from all over the country saying, come stay with us.
Yeah.
Vermont,
Mm.
Wisconsin,
Wow.
Atlanta, uh, uh, Las Vegas. I mean, everybody was opening up their home to us,
Mm.
but we couldn't do anything in the moment
Mhm.
because, we really had to. I had to stand behind Jennifer and support her.
Mm.
And thank you for the counseling to
Oh yeah. No
help
doubt.
me support her
No doubt.
during that time.
Yeah, we had a couple of
Yeah.
rough
And
moments
also
there.
Apostle Fred Hodge, Living Praise Christian Center,
Yeah.
for helping me through that
Right.
moment
We're with you.
to show me how to return to being her hype man. Because
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really do. The work that she's doing is transformative. I've
Mm.
watched how she's transformed St. Mark's School from where it was 10 years ago to where it is today, and the one building that
Yeah.
remains standing
Uh,
is a message of hope,
yeah.
and so it's resilience.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
resilience. It's perseverance.
Hmm. That's right.
all the things that we
That's right.
aspire to.
Aspire to.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing conversation. Jennifer, Steve, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing really your faith and, as it's been mentioned, your resilience. I'm for Team Tolbert. A lot of life lessons y'all just gave on the On Purpose Leader podcast. And I'm grateful to hear your story, even in greater depth. I look forward to more conversations. And as I pivot now to the listener, what do you do when you lose everything? Well, we've just heard from the Tolberts. They may have lost physically things, but they didn't lose themselves. They didn't lose each other, and they didn't lose their faith and also their purpose of service to the community. So for the on purpose leader, keep doing good. Keep doing what's of help and of service to others. And you'll be surprised the things that you've heard the saying, what goes around comes around.
Yeah, that's right.
We use that sometimes in a bad way, but here's an example. You two are an example of a good thing coming around. People, I remember the Tolberts. I remember the teacher, the educator, the financial lead. I remember my mentor, how they loved and cared for me. And so keep doing the good things, and we might have a stronger impact into our community. So thank you for tuning in to the On Purpose Leader podcast, and give to St. Mark's and be about being on purpose.